So Jesse and I ran to a local farm today, one of our friends, and we were getting 2 gallons of raw milk. On our way out, we had this car coming in the other direction. It's snowy around here. The driveways are tight. So we kind of pulled over to the side, and as we did, the little electric car coming in the other direction also started to slow down, and down goes the window. The husband and wife said to us, "Oh, we are going all over the town trying to find fresh eggs. And when we just saw you, we thought, oh, we'll ask Stacy and Jesse if they have fresh eggs." And of course, we told them no, because our eggs that we get, as soon as we get a dozen together, they're already sold. They're out the door. So the guy said to Jesse something along the lines of, "This is crazy, isn't it?" And, Jesse said, "Yeah, when you kill all the chickens, you don't get eggs. That's just how that works." Hi farm friends, welcome to Haven Acres. I'm Stacy. Thank you for joining us today. And today I am doing something that a year ago I said I was all done doing, not going to do it anymore. I would keep our supplies in case something hit the fan, I would keep my supplies, but I wasn't going to do this any longer. Well, apparently the something has hit the fan. People around us are having a hard time finding food. And you know me, it's all about the food, the healthy food that we can grow and raise. So I'm doing something today that I really wasn't going to do again. Here we have it. All right, here we have it. This is the something I wasn't going to do. You may have seen in one of our recent videos where I said I was transitioning out of chickens and transitioning into ducks. For us, chickens have become kind of a nuisance. They lay eggs and they eat bugs, but they also tear up the yard if they're free ranging. They don't always stay in the enclosures. If you try to control where they are, they don't always stay in there. They've just kind of, for us, frankly, become a hassle. 6, 7 years ago, we had 100 laying hens. That was not abnormal for us. We were doing farmers markets. We were selling 30 dozen eggs a week. And then we moved. I will backtrack. We stopped doing farmers markets long before we moved. However, when we moved, we also discovered that the amount of money that people charge for eggs in our new location was $3 a dozen, $4 a dozen, when we were used to getting $5 a dozen. And trust me when I say that doesn't even many times pay the feed bill, depending on how many chickens you have. So for us, where we live, I thought, you know what, there's enough people that lay backyard eggs. No, there's enough people that have backyard egg layers that they can supply our new community with eggs. I don't need to have chickens trashing my yard and all of the things. So I was going to transition into ducks. They're fun. They lay a similar quantity of eggs to chickens. Apparently they're not as, they don't rely on the daylight as much as chickens do. However, I'm not sure I buy that. But we were going to transition into Indian runner ducks, which I did get 4 last year. We got 5 actually. One didn't make it more than a few days. And we have some more coming soon. But that was going to be it for the chickens. We weren't going to hatch any eggs. We weren't going to raise any chickens. We weren't going to buy any more chicks from anywhere. Except, now here we are doing that thing that we weren't going to do. Okay, the first step is to collect eggs. And because of the time of year that it is, it's taken us several days to collect enough eggs to put in the incubator. One reason I'm only collecting this many is because we still need to eat eggs, and we still have many customers that want to purchase eggs, so I can only collect so many. And the girls are not fully laying yet. What we need to do is to look at our eggs and pick out the ones that are the cleanest, because you don't want a bunch of yolk and yuck and mud and chicken crap in your incubator, because the incubator is going to be damp and you don't want mold and bacteria growing in there. You want the cleanest eggs you can find. So I'm going to just go through our eggs, and any that have any type of little bit of yuck on them, I'm just going to take a dry rag and try to wipe off as much of that as I can. I'm not going to wash these. That would be a bad idea. So we're just going to scrub off what I can and see how many we have that we can put in the incubator. Okay, let's do a little bit of chicken math, which is different from the other kind of chicken math when you keep buying lots of chickens. That's also called chicken math. This chicken math is real chicken math. And let's think about this. I had 25 eggs collected. This egg has too much schmutz on it. I'm not going to be able to clean that well enough to put it in the incubator. So we have 24 eggs that I'm going to put in the incubator. We have 2 roosters with 26 hens. In theory, all of these eggs should be fertile. However, that's not how real life works. So you can't look at this and say, oh, 24 chicks. No. So there's 24 eggs here that have a chance. Some of these eggs will not be fertile. Out of the ones that are fertile, some of them still might not develop correctly for one reason or another. This is life, and sometimes these things happen. Out of the ones that are fertile, that do develop correctly, about half will be roosters. And for all of you that maybe don't know this, roosters do not lay eggs. Only the hens lay eggs. You have to have a rooster to fertilize the eggs. So roosters and hens, the rooster fertilizes the egg while it's mating with the hens. Just like people, that's how that works. So half of these, at least, will be roosters. So let's just say they're all fertile, they all develop perfectly. That leaves us with 12 roosters and 12 hens. 12 roosters you're not going to use for egg production. But you don't know they're roosters until after you feed them for many, many months. The average hen doesn't start laying eggs until she is between 5 and 7 months old. So this means after these eggs are in the incubator for 21 days, we're going to call that a month, and then they hatch out, and we, on that day, start feeding them. We will be feeding them for 5 to 7 months before they even produce one egg. If you're thinking about hatching eggs, you really want to think about that. If you already have chickens and it's just going to be a few more chickens, well, maybe that fits into your budget. But if you're panicking because you can't find eggs and you really want eggs, so you think you're going to go find some eggs from some farmer somewhere and hatch them, do the math. We'll call it 5 months, at 1 bag of grain for 12 hens, maybe every other week. So 5 months times 2 bags a month, that's 10 bags of grain at about $18 a bag, just for run-of-the-mill grain, not organic, not anything fancy. That's $180 that you're going to put into these chickens before they start laying eggs. Do you buy 1 dozen eggs a month? Do you buy 1 dozen eggs a week? Do you buy 10 dozen eggs a week? That makes a difference. So let's just say you're an average family and you buy 1 dozen eggs a week. So right now, if you can even find eggs around us, they are about $8 a dozen at the store. From your farmer, who has been selling them dirt cheap forever, and you drive right by because you're just going to get them at the store anyhow, the farmer is probably up to $6 a dozen now. But at the store, let's just pretend that's where you're buying them, $8 a dozen times 4 weeks in a month times 5 months, that's 20 weeks, times $8 is $160 you would spend if you just bought the eggs. So you'd be saving $20. Oh, yeah, that will work. No, let's not forget the 21 days that they'll be in the incubator, because you have to buy eggs for those 3 weeks also. So what's that? That's another $24. Okay, so now you're at $184 if you don't hatch eggs and just buy them at the store. $184 versus $180 for getting these chickens to laying point. But you also have to feed said chickens, water said chickens, clean the coop of said chickens, deal with the random chicken that dies because they just like to do that, keep your dogs away from the chickens, and all of the other things that you have to do with the chickens. That takes your time, and your time is valuable. So you just have to decide, is it worth buying eggs, or is it worth incubating your own eggs for chickens? Only you will know. All right, here we go. Cover on. We'll make sure that the sensor in there is not going to hit an egg as they rotate, which I can see one of them is. So I'm going to move this egg to right here, and I'm going to move this egg down and this egg up here, I think. That way, the two little sensors that are in there, as the eggs rotate up, the sensors won't hit the eggs and give it a false reading. The eggs are in. The sensor's on, telling us 0 days because we haven't set it yet. That light is flashing because that is the temperature sensor. So this number right here should be reading right around 100 at all times. It's going to be building up temperature as we go. The humidity currently is at 29%. We're not going to worry about that at the moment. We do need to change the day so that it says 21, because that's what we need it to say. It takes 21 days to hatch eggs. So back to our story from this morning, killing the chickens, no eggs, yada yada. No matter what you think or what you believe or what you feel or whatever, it doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, either you have your own chickens and you can get your own eggs, or you have a source for those eggs, or you can't find eggs. Those are the kind of the three things that are going on right now. I just want to make some points for you to think about. I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'm just going to give you something to think about. So firstly, if you are willing to pay $8, $10 a dozen for eggs now at the store, and prior to that, the little lady at church or your neighbor or somebody was giving you eggs or only charging you $3 a dozen or even $4 a dozen, think about how you as a consumer should be treating those people now. Whether you're still getting eggs from them or not, I don't know. For those people who have been supplying you eggs previous to this whole no eggs debacle, think about it from their standpoint. Their workload hasn't changed any. The price of grain has maybe gone up, maybe not, but they're at least still charging the same for grain as they have been. So that's still expensive. And now all of a sudden, the grocery store eggs are more valuable than the farm fresh eggs. So just think about that person that's generally supplying you with eggs. When the eggs come back in the grocery store, you have two options. You can continue to support the grocery store, which is kind of, not helping you right now, or you can continue to support the farmer who may or may not be able to help you right now. But that's a choice that you can make. Another thing I really want you to think about is this bird flu, the avian flu. How do I want to say this? There are some very well-known hatcheries, some hatcheries in this country that I respect, that we've bought birds from before, that have had the avian flu come in and they have had to wipe out their entire stock. Big confinement houses, big not hatcheries, but places where they produce the eggs, they have had to go in there and destroy their entire flocks. How many backyard homesteaders, small-scale farmers have you heard that they have had to go in and destroy their flocks? Just think about it. There is another country who has discovered that if a chicken eats 2 blades of grass a day, they are essentially immune from the bird flu, which means that backyard homesteaders, small-scale farmers, people that raise chickens in their neighborhood, wherever, if their chickens are outside in the sunshine eating grass, they're not going to get the avian flu. But chickens in a confinement house or in a big industrial setting are going to get the avian flu. Okay, that's one thing we can consider. But the avian flu supposedly comes from wild birds. Are there a lot of wild birds flying around in an industrial chicken facility or inside the building where these big hatcheries are hatching their eggs and keeping their chickens? I'm not really sure. But I can tell you that there are wild birds flying around the backyard homesteaders, the small-scale farmers, the people in the neighborhoods that have chickens. There's lots of wild birds flying around. So just use your head and think about how these things happen. Word of advice: don't go to a farmer that you've never been to before when there is a shortage of eggs or a pandemic going on and you've never been to that farmer before. Don't go to the farmer and tell them, "Oh, I was hoping you had some eggs because I want to support local." Or, "Oh, I was hoping that you had some beef because I want to support local." I'm going to call BS on that. Guess what? Your farmer, even though he may not be saying that, he's thinking that. Just don't do that. Farmers are not stupid. They are polite, most of them, and they're not going to call you out on your nonsense. If you can't find eggs and you choose to go to a local farm or a homesteader because you're hoping they have eggs, just go with a grateful heart and say, I'm hoping you have eggs. We can't find eggs anywhere. Oh, you want $6 for a dozen eggs? Here's 7. That's what you do to a farmer. That's how you build a relationship with a homesteader. That's how you help your local economy. And that is how you secure food for your future. I hope I've given you a few things to think about, and I truly appreciate you joining us here at Haven Acres. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.